Hello, everyone. How are you? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, morning.
Okay, try to share your screen so I can see you, or show yourselves so I can see you. Um, I'm here because I want to make sure that people feel comfortable with Premiere, and I will be making some videos, some more tutorials. But if anyone has any specific questions, I really want to make sure that I can answer those. I have the Delicious Piece video set up so that I can work with it and show you some things. So I'd love to sort of first get some questions. Very nice to see the people who are here. So
Oh,
does anybody have any questions? As I said, it'd be nice if I can see your faces.
I had a question.
Yes, go ahead.
I was wondering, how do I do like the Ken Burns zoom effect on a picture where I zoom in to a portion of it?
Okay, yeah, I will show you that right now. And I'm going to include all of this. This is being recorded as well, so I will post this in Canvas. All right, let me share screen, and we'll go ahead and start with that. Okay, so let me go into Premiere. This is the project that hopefully you've seen the first tutorial that I made for Delicious Piece. So if I wanted to do the Ken Burns effect, let's just start off here. Let me go with just say coffee plant, for example. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show this to you as icon views so we can see these. Actually, let me go here and let me go into footage. And let's look at it in icon view so we can see what we have. And I can always hit the tilde button so we can see everything. So the Ken Burns effect is, as most of you probably know, it's panning and zooming. So for example, you can do that with an archival photograph, which a lot of people do, or you could do it just with, or you could do it with a video. So let's say that I want to do it with this bud that's growing, because this is sort of the very beginning of a coffee plant, right? And let's say I want to put the entire video into the timeline. I could just go ahead and mark it. So let's say, or maybe not the entire video, but like starting here, hit I, ending here, hit O, and then make sure that V1 on the left is patched to V1 on the right, A1 on the left to A1 on the right. And I'll turn on my audio just for the heck of it, even though there's not much, all of my audio, even though there's not much audio here. And I can either overwrite it, which is the period, or insert it, which is the comma. It doesn't matter if it's at the beginning of the video. And here it is. And so I would put my playhead or current time indicator, whatever you want to call it, in the beginning of the clip to do the Ken Burns effect. If I wanted it to, the Ken Burns effect to start there. And then what I would do is I would go to Effect Controls. And as you can see, by default, there are a lot of motion effects on the video. So the first thing I want to do is click on the little stopwatch for position and click on the little stopwatch for scale. And now I have created what are called keyframes, and you can see just the edge of them. In fact, let me drag them over so you can see them better. Okay, so that's what they look like. And they're going to start just a little bit after the beginning of the clip. And then if I drag my playhead over to the right, not all the way to the end, then I can actually scale in. So maybe scale in just a little bit. And I can move over. So the numbers on the left are my horizontal axis in pixels. And the numbers on the right are my vertical axis in pixels. And now I have created new keyframes on the right so that the ones that locked this in the beginning at the normal scale of 150 because this clip is being scaled up for 1920 by 1080 frame size. Now these are different than the keyframes on the right. Let's just snap over, causing the Ken Burns effect. So if I play the video, this is what I have. Now it's looking blurry only because I am playing it at a lower quality playback speed, because it's very hard to work with a program like Premiere on Zoom. And if I want to snap to a keyframe, I can just click on go to previous keyframe or go to next keyframe. And let's say I wanted to move it over even more to give a more dramatic example here. Okay, so let's say I go ahead and move it over even more. Now I want to be careful that I don't move it over too much, because then I start to see the black behind the image. But now you'll see a more dramatic. So I'm going to move it just to about here. And you can see it actually creates what's called the path of motion. So now on this, and always make sure you snap to the correct keyframe. On this keyframe, you want to make sure that that you've snapped to it. And here I am here. So go back to here. And now I have a more dramatic pan and zoom. So there you go. If I wanted it to stop to continuously move from the beginning to the end, I can take these keyframes and move them all the way over. So grab both of them by clicking and dragging around them. And there you have it. And now it's going to be more of a continuous movement. Obviously, if I were to drag them closer, just to show you how this works, if I were to drag these over to the left, maybe I do a pan and zoom that happens faster, but then ends, you know, like halfway through, like if I put it right here, halfway through this clip. It's faster and then it stops. Okay, let me stop sharing. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you very much. I was also wondering, how do you crop down an image or video, like without the movement, you just want it cropped?
You just want it to be like punched in, right?
Yes.
Okay, so like bigger maybe. Okay, so all I would do in that case is I would take this clip, and rather than using keyframes, okay, so I got rid of the keyframes, I got rid of the toggle animation. I actually don't need it on, so I could turn it off. Okay, and then all I have to do is scale in, and that's it. And no keyframes needed, or change position. No keyframe needed. And now I have a close-up of this plant. All right. I hope does that make sense?
Yes, thank you very much.
Sure. Other questions? I see someone has put something in the chat here.
Oh, I was just asking how long
Oh.
do you expect us to last? That's all.
Yeah, just an hour.
Okay.
But I mean, if nobody has any questions and needs any help at all and
Amir
wants
raised
to
his
get
hand.
going, you can certainly leave. But I'm here to answer questions and show people how to do things. I am planning on making a lot of videos that will be helpful as well. Hopefully today I'll be able to get through them. But okay, we have a few more hands up. Amir, go ahead.
Yeah, I had a question about sound. When I was editing the BingoNet project, I sometimes struggle to contain continuity in sound. And I've seen that on some videos posted in the discussion, because the sound from different takes sounds differently. What
Okay,
if
are you
we
talking
want
about
to?
Bingo Night or
Yeah,
the
Bingo Night.
mashup? Bingo Night, yeah. Okay, so how would you make your sound work consistent, correct?
Yeah.
That's your
If we take
question? Yeah.
different takes, we want it to
Uh-huh.
sound still like organically mixed.
Yeah, okay, so go back into Premiere. There's actually there should be a new Interesting. I saw it recently when I opened Premiere. I may have to go back in and see if I can go home first. Let's see if this works. Yeah. Okay, so there is a new there's a new button in Premiere. If you look here, if you go home and you look here and you click here, there is an enhanced speech which can be helpful in beta. This is a brand new
I'm sorry, you're not
function.
sharing.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. Hold on. Let me share screen. Okay. All right. So, and I see Anna that you raised your Annabella that you raised your hand again. I'll help you with that. Okay. After I'm done with this one. Okay. So let's say I was in my project, Delicious Piece here, which, you know, let's say I'm working on that. And I decide, oh, I want to see what's new in Premiere, which, because this is one of the features that is new in Premiere. You can go home and you can go to this little gift, explore tips for what are new using Premiere. And one of the new features is enhanced speech. So let's just look at that for a moment. Okay, it's just actually it says mix amount. Okay, so that's says boost spoken audio and remove distracting background noise with AI powered enhanced speech for nothing but studio quality audio. We could try joining the beta, but I just want you to see that because that's something new that might be really helpful. And I was actually going to look into that today. But another thing that you can do is let's go in. I'm going to go into bingo night. And let's see, let me make sure that I don't have two of these opened here. Hold on one second. All right, let me close. I'm going to close Delicious Piece for a moment. Let's see. Let's close project. So we're only in bingo night. I see other hands raised. Okay, so I will do a whole video on how to handle these kinds of things. But there is a lot that you can do in Premiere with regard to sound. And so the first thing you would want to do is go into the sound interface with Premiere. Now, my Zoom controls are hiding my ability to do this. So hang on a second while I hide the meeting controls. Okay, there. Now, let's take a look here. If I go to Window, Workspaces, Audio, the first thing I want to do, and let's make sure, okay. So I see, Casey, that you have your hand raised as well. Does this relate to what we're doing right now with sound?
No, it's kind of unrelated. I can wait until you're done with this demonstration.
Okay, okay, great. Okay, so the first thing you want to think about, and I did get to this point with bingo night, what is that you're going to want to tag all of your audio. So for example, dialogue would be great tagged as dialogue. So what you can do is, like, if I click on my dialogue, in fact, if I click on all of these, I can just click on dialogue. And now these are all tagged as dialogue. And what I can do then is I can take them all and I can change their preset to something that is more appropriate. Okay, so for example, right now, because I tagged it as dialogue, it has applied a few filters on it already to repair it, to change the loudness, to add clarity. And I can also change this preset instead of background voice to just like subtle boost, right? Or vocal presence, which could be really helpful. And that's going across all of these clips. And so I could even do enhanced speech. Okay, so that can be really, really helpful in making your dialogue sound a lot better. So now when I play this, let's just see if it sounds really nice here. Let's see. It might be hard because we're on Zoom, but let's see.
I'm sorry that your son lost his job. I truly am.
Then why can't you be more understanding?
We've been understanding.
Okay, so that's sounding pretty good. And it probably doesn't because we're on Zoom, but it's also bouncing around between -6 and -18. So that's really nice. So that's one thing that you would want to do. The next thing that you would want to do is you would want to take highlight your audio, your music, and tag that as music. Okay, so now this clip, this retirement home.wave, is tagged as music. And as the preset here, what I can do is I can tag it as balanced background music. And it could go throughout the entire video. I can also tell Premiere to duck that music. Shoot, the controls are messing things up again. Let's see, hide meeting controls. So what I could do is I could take off all of these keyframes that I put on here, and I could tell Premiere to do the keyframes for me, which will help quite a bit. Okay, so for example, I've changed this to balanced background music. And now what I can do is I can click on ducking, and I can tell it sensitivity, make the sensitivity like maybe moderate, and duck it maybe a little bit less. Okay, and change the fade duration and position and all of these things, and then click on generate keyframes. And sometimes it will work better than other times, but as you can see, it's made some keyframes now, and the keyframes are controlling how the music sounds. Now, the ones that I put on there before I did by hand, and sometimes it is better to do it manually by hand, but this might sound good. Let's see.
Your son lost his job. I truly am.
Then why can't you be more understanding?
We've been understanding.
Actually, it did a pretty good job. So you can control all these things like level and ducking and all of this. You also have, in the audio workspace, you also have other choices. Let's just go over here. Let's see. Let me take this one, and I'll just clear audio type. So you can see, you can also tell Premiere that you want a clip to be sound effects, and then you have all these templates for sound effects. Or let's clear audio type, you can make it an ambiance type, and then that can work really well. Okay, so there's a lot of really great choices within the audio workspace for how to handle your sound. And you were talking about like different sounds from different sources and different cuts and different takes from different time periods during the while the video was made. So another thing you can do is you can go, let's go out of the audio workspace for a moment, and I'll go back to my editing workspace. And one thing that editors do all the time is they will put transitions between audio clips, very small transitions. And so, for example, let's see, if I go over here and I go to my effects, you can also be in effects mode. I tend to like being in editing mode because it gives me more flexibility with my editing, and I can still apply effects. So if I do audio transitions and apply a constant power, for example, right here, and make it much smaller, this will tend to blend the sounds from different takes of your, of your scene, of your entire movie. And it really does help a lot when you're dealing with cuts from different sources of video or different takes of video. This is what is usually used making these transitions between when you're dealing with a lot of different clips and stringing them together to make one movie. So those are some good tips. I hope that's helpful. Let me go back to our meeting here. And let's see, let's see. Let's see, trying to stop sharing. It gets so weird when you're in Zoom and then you're trying to turn off those controls. Let's see. Hold on a second. Dang. Let's see. Let me go back. Okay, stop. That's recording. You show meeting controls. Okay. Let me stop sharing. Oops. Okay, I hope that helps. Who asked that question? Was that Casey?
Yeah, I was the one that had this question. Like on the subject
Yeah.
of bingo night, are we gonna be doing any further assignments using that using those files?
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Actually, you know what,
Okay.
you guys, let's take a 5-minute break. I just need to use the restroom. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay. And we can talk more about that.
Has anyone started the project yet?
No, I'm gonna download it today.
I got stressed about the original due date, so I already started it.
Is it difficult so far?
It's a lot different than bingo night because like you have a lot of creative flexibility and you're not like banging your head trying to work out continuity. So it's a lot different. I'm enjoying it more. However, I'm at 3 minutes right now and I'm out of footage. So I do not know how she expects us to have 4 to 6.
Oh, wow. That's documentary, right?
Yeah, it's a documentary. It's a cool story, but like we just don't have a lot of the footage from the whole documentary.
I wonder if we can source footage.
That's what she wants us to do. I just don't know like what kinds of things to add. I found like one website where you can get like just standard footage, but nothing that really relates all that much to the topic without like pulling directly from the documentary. In my search, I really only found an extra minute, which isn't a lot.
What about the narration? How long is that?
The voiceover that's given to us is petite, and at least I think that it's unusable. So I kind of took what Ed O'Neill says and then did my own research and quickly wrote up a voiceover and then sent it to somebody to record for me. And that's kind of how I did it.
Oh, okay.
That's a really great idea, Annabella. And I was going to also show you how to record right into Premiere. So, okay. So any other questions, Casey? I think you had your hand up. Go ahead.
No, I was pretty much done with mine.
Oh, you're done. Oh, okay.
Yeah, because well, the only thing I was just going to say is that like the reason why I was asking my question is that like I kind of felt tempted to watch the original film that this was based on after I was done with the first assignment, but I had a feeling like, well, if we're gonna work on this more, so
Yes. Oh, okay. So yes. So we are going to do another half of bingo night and finish it. But I want people to get a little more experience doing other things. So I'm giving shorter assignments before we do the rest of bingo night.
that makes
So
sense.
why are you crying, Annabella?
Because I didn't like it. I want to be done.
Oh no. Well, I mean, it's a really funny movie once it's all, once you're all done with it. And well, the good news is you have a break before you do the rest of it, right? So, anyway, as I was saying, I want people to feel a lot more confident and to have tools that will really help them do the best they can with the rest of bingo night. So we are going to be doing Delicious Piece, which is short. It's like 3 to 5 minutes. And then we're going to do a few others, Gladiators, so you can learn how to sync sound, Monk, so you can learn some other, how to deal with footage that's really problematic, and probably a few other little short exercises just so that you can learn some other skills. And I know one of the skills that I wanted to show you was how to generate a transcript so that you can easily put that onto your video as closed captioning or subtitles, because it's really easy to do that now with Premiere. One really cool thing about doing that for the Delicious Piece exercise is that Delicious Piece is their accents are really strong. And so you're going to have to know what they're saying. And one of the things they say is Peace Calmira, which you do see written down on their sign when you enter the their cooperative, their coffee cooperative. And so I want everyone to make sure they're really understanding what this video is about, so that they can put closed captioning or subtitles onto the video. Any questions about that or thoughts? I will make a really good tutorial on that, so that you'll know how to do that. And if we have time, maybe I'll make that tutorial while we're in this meeting. But do you have any thoughts based on what I'm telling you? No one?
I just wanted to confirm, we can have like 3 minutes is long enough?
Try to do like 4.
I'm
Try
out
to,
of
you know, don't-
footage.
Well, there is enough footage for, I've seen people do like a 4 or 5 minute video. The other thing I want you to do is find some sources of video. And I know, you know, I extended the due date to Friday so that people have more time. And I don't want you to rush through this. I want you to enjoy it and try to make something nice out of it. As I said in my tutorial, I would like you to get some other footage and some other stills, like maybe when he talks about coffee commodities, or like if you do the voiceover for coffee commodities, you're adding some imagery that's not provided with the Delicious Piece footage. Or maybe add a video of people sitting and drinking coffee together, or maybe find some footage of this cooperative that hasn't been provided, because there is outside footage of these people. So that's the assignment. It's to make it a little bit better than it is, and to do what you can with it to try to really improve it. Does that make sense? I mean, it's a good exercise. I want you guys to learn and not rush through this. And the other thing I also wanted to point out, you know, I'm very glad to see the 5 of you here, but it really would have been good if all, you know, I have 80 students in 4 classes, that it's all this class. I know, and you're the only 5 people that came to the meeting, because I have some really valuable information to offer you, which is, when do you think a good time to start editing is? Who can answer that question?
That is a good question. Like, because I was just gonna say I had no idea about the whole ducking thing or like categorizing audio, and that was really handy to know. But to answer your question, I guess like if you, I found, for me, I found it easier to work on assignments from this class on days where I don't have to go to campus, because
definitely.
yeah, because I have Wednesday also off in addition to Friday, and I've always like I guess probably because by the time I usually get back from university, I usually feel kind of tired, and I don't feel like firing up Premiere, and then I guess on a day where you don't have to go to campus, you're kind of on a fresh slate.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Well, So that is all very true. Annabella, go ahead.
Oh, this is kind of off topic. I was just wondering where we find the information for the credits.
Oh, you're supposed to just make your own credits.
Like make up other
Make
names
sure
or just
that you
say
wa-
edited by
Did
me?
you watch my video?
I watched the first one that you posted. I don't know if there's another one that's been posted.
Yeah, I did say to create your own credits. So you can I just want to see that you can make rolling credits. So you can make them up, or you can do your own research and find out a little bit more about the Delicious Piece project.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, okay. The whole idea behind this project is to know how to do the functions in Premiere so that you could make credits later for yourself on other projects. And that when you get into Avid, if you take the Avid class, you have a basic understanding of rolling credits for the Avid class. So that's the most important thing. Yeah, as far as, so Marion, are you talking about credits?
Oh,
I
I
see.
was talking about the question you asked earlier.
Okay, yeah. So going back to when you should start editing, you should start editing as soon as humanly possible. It's really, really important to not put things off until the last minute with editing. So I noticed with bingo night that I gave about 2 weeks for people to do the bingo night assignment. And a lot of people didn't even get started until like the day before. And it was a long assignment. You know, it required people to edit up to page 6, I believe, of the script. And to start last minute is really, really bad. You never ever want to do that. You will get fired if you try to put off work editing until the last minute. The other thing about editing is that the sooner you start editing, the sooner the better your editing is, because editing is an artistic process that's very magical, really. Good editors are people who are visionaries, who come up with great ideas as to how to take this footage that was painstakingly, shot by the director and all the crew and make it even better than what they give you. And if you're waiting until the last minute to edit, as a lot of the students in our class are, and probably not you because you are actually showing up to that today, but this is a really important thing to remember. People who start editing right away are the ones who are the best editors, because they have the time to go back and forth with the producer and the director and to be able to make that edit much, much, much better, like light years better than if they are at last minute. So please tell other people in the class, and remember this forever, that you want to get started immediately. As soon as you see an assignment from me, get started if you can. Or if you get a freelance gig, get started immediately, because you might not be done until version 37 of your edit, or version 64, and so if you are starting late, you're only going to have maybe 2 or 3 versions, and they're not going to be good compared to what they could be. Any questions about that?
I was just gonna say it like I did try to start sooner on bingo night, but I kind of got swamped with other assignments, and I think this was before I dropped to 12 units.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely understand what you're also saying too, because yeah, starting earlier is important, and I definitely try and do that as soon as possible. And like after dealing with other assignments this week, tonight I'm gonna download right after I'm done with this meeting, I'm gonna download the files for the next thing that we're doing and look into it.
Good, yeah, please do. I mean, it's due on the 6th, but that's really not that
it
much
still says the
time.
4th on the canvas.
Oh, does it? Okay, I changed it to the 6th maybe for one class and not the other 3. What section are you in?
I'm in
4?
section 6.
Oh, 6. Okay, I'll make sure I change that. But still, pretend it's due on the 4th, and then that way
Yeah, that's a good way to pace myself.
earlier. Yeah, and then you'll be able to come up with a much better strategy for making it as good as possible. So, you know, those are all really important things to keep in mind. And, you know, Marion's right, you know, in case there are any issues, let's say, imagine you were given footage and you were given a deadline and you wait to the last minute and you realize that the footage won't download or it won't import, or, you know, you have a problem with it, you know, it would be horrible for you to then say, oh, last minute, like you had 6 months to work on something and it's a week before it's due and you're like, this footage won't download. Then they know you waited until the very last minute. So very, 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 very bad to wait until the last minute for so many reasons. So please keep that in mind. And I do have a few other things that I wanted to everybody. Let me stay on Zoom. I'm just going to look at my notes here. Let's see here. Okay, let's see. Oh yeah. Yeah, so it's interesting because a lot of the people ask questions aren't in this meeting. But you know, one thing that is important too, oh gosh, I had a student who so I did have a question, is if anybody's interested in tutoring, like if you're a little more advanced with Premiere, we may have an opportunity for you to tutor students who need help. Is anyone interested? Because I can pass your name along to the administration. You would be paid. Anyone?
Would this be counted under work study?
I'm not sure. I can find out though. So if you are interested, can you please send me an email through the Canvas inbox and I will find out?
For sure.
Marion? Yeah, okay, cool. Okay, so all right. So anyway, let's see. One thing also that I want to remind people of is that you know, I really do want to make sure that you follow Susan Bloom's digital asset management PDF that I put in Canvas. And then you also want to make sure that you never export too much black. So I'm going to cover that right now. Does everybody understand what I mean by that? A lot of people aren't responding. Okay, well, I will show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so let's see here. So here I am in Premiere. And let's say I have bingo night here, okay? Let me see if I can just move this. All right. So let's say I am done with my film. Let me go to let's see. Go to Canvas and hide these meeting controls again. Oh, they're driving me crazy. Okay, hide floating meeting controls. Okay. So right here, okay. I think I might have covered this in a tutorial, but if not, let's take a look at it right now. So you'll notice here that this is a bar above my video. Okay, I'm using this zoom bar to zoom in and out. This bar above my video is called the work area bar, and it can be made smaller or larger, but by default, as you add clips, it grows and grows and grows to encompass the actual video. Now, if I bring a clip out here and it doesn't grow, I want to be really cognizant of that. Okay. Now, what if I had like a really small clip that I barely even saw and I didn't even realize it was out there? And then when I go to export, sorry, it's kind of slow because I've got a lot going on here. By the way, my computer completely turned off when I was trying to start the meeting earlier. So if that happens, you just wait and I'll come back on, although we don't have that much time left. But you'll notice here that when you export, Premiere gives you choices as to what to export. There's the work area, which is that bar. There's also the entire source. And if you do entire source, you're in great danger of exporting a lot of black after the work area. Okay. If you do into out, that would mean that you would want to set up in and out marks so that you only export a specific area of your video. Now, a lot of people just use source into out and then they'll mark in and out. You don't have to do that. I prefer the work area, but you need to understand what the work area is. Okay. So what happens is if I were to export the entire thing, not just the work area, I would get all of this is just black. This is nothing, or like nothing. And then maybe a tiny bit of some clip I had put out here on the right. And that looks very unprofessional. So what you really want to do is make sure that your range is your work area. Let me go back to edit. And that you know what's in your work area. So if your work area were accidentally too small, right? So this is kind of like in and out points. This is all that would be exported. So just the end of this video, I mean, of this title, and then this part here. But if I did like this entire part here, and just to this point, notice how it snaps nicely. And of course, I'll bring this back in. Okay. Now I'm not going to export everything beyond my video and embarrass myself. Okay. So that's an important thing to notice and be really cognizant of. Another thing to keep in mind is, what was my other note? Oh yeah. When you're making titles, okay. So there's this thing, safe margins. If you don't see it in your work bar here, you can always add it by clicking plus, and you'll see it here, and you can drag it down into this little work toolbar here. I'm going to cancel. But when you have this on, this shows you your title safe and your action safe margins. So right here, this is action safe. This means that I don't want anything, any important action, like maybe somebody bouncing a ball outside of this area. Okay. And I don't ever want to put any words or titles outside of this inner area. And one of our students made a really cute video, but I don't know if they were trying to be like artistic or what have you. But the problem was the text went right up to the edge and part of it was cut off and you couldn't really see it. So what you want to do is make sure that your text is inside of that area. So as you can see, see how Bingo Night is so nicely inside this inner rectangle. Okay, so you want to be really careful of that. And if you'll notice my title, my credits, you know, they are rolling. Now, of course, because they roll, when they're rolling, they're going to come up from here and leave out of here. But they're definitely within my title safe on the left and the right. So please be careful of that as well. All right, let me go, let's see. I'm going to, I might as well do this right now. I'm going to show you, well, actually, let me see if there are any questions before I do that. Let me go back to Zoom. And let me go to show meeting controls, stop sharing. I hope this is helpful.
Yeah,
Any
it
other?
has.
Okay, good. Any other questions?
I had
I
one.
am here to help you, so please, please. Yes, Marion, it looks like you have a question.
When it comes to future assignments, are we ever going to have an assignment where we end up doing a first draft and then after that we'll get notes on it and then need to do a second draft, or?
Yes, in fact, Bingo Night, I haven't graded it yet because that's what I'll be doing. And in fact, I often give notes on projects. I have given notes to some people because sometimes, you know, the work is not nearly what it's supposed to be. So, but I will give notes, and that's an important, also an important thing to recognize, that when you're working on a cut, you're starting off with an assembly, then you're doing a rough cut, and you may do a series of rough cuts. Then you get to a fine cut stage. Then you do a series of fine cuts. So you're always meeting with your director and or producers, and they're telling you how to make how to make that movie better and better and better. Okay. So definitely. Thank you for asking that question, Marion. Good question. I'm assuming you want that feedback, right?
Definitely.
Yeah. Everybody should have that feedback. So yes, definitely. Any other questions? Okay. Well, I'm going to show you how to deal with making transcripts for subtitles, because you're going to do that for Delicious Peace. Now, just to save time, I'm going to do it for my example using Bingo Night as the example. Now for Delicious Peace, I know they have very strong accents, so you're going to try to understand what they're saying. Remember, it's Peace Calmira is what they're talking about, which is sort of the liaison, the group that they formed. And if you look it up, you'll be able to learn what it means. And so part of this assignment is a research assignment to learn a little bit more about this program. Okay, so but I'm going to go into Bingo Night right now, and I will show you how to create the subtitles. Okay, so let's just listen for a moment to what is being said here. Oh, and also, I want to show you one more thing. So we had a really good question about audio. Just notice that you have a lot of audio effects and transitions. Okay, like a lot of them, really good ones. Noise reduction's a really good one. So denoise or dehum, those can be really good. So those are really important to note. And then you also have your audio transitions. But before you go ahead and try to do any of these, use these audio effects, it's better to start off with doing your audio, going into your audio interface by going to Window, Workspaces, Audio, and then tagging, right? As I said, tagging each clip, and you can do them all at once. Like I said, you can grab all of your dialogue and tag them to be dialogue, right? And then fix them and do a lot of things here before you go into effects. Now, I just want you to notice one other thing too, that if you were to look in your, let's go back to editing mode, Window, Workspaces, Editing. If you go back into your editing mode here, okay, and you look at your effects and you click on, say, audio, you'll notice that because you went into the audio, and let's go here, so I changed these. You'll notice that the effects that were put onto your audio clip when you were adjusting them in the audio interface will show up in all of your effect controls. So you'll notice that Premiere put a graphic equalizer and a vocal enhancer already on this audio clip. Also note that the more audio effects and the more video effects you put on clips, the more you tend to break down and damage the clip. So if you put a lot of audio effects on an audio clip and you're trying to make it sound better, you'll notice that it's going to start to sound really electronic and tinny, and you're going to have to take some of those effects off because it just won't work. So keep that in mind. You want to keep your audio effects to a minimum. And that's why I recommend just going into the audio workspace and working with those effects that way.
You said like,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Just to make sure I heard it right, you said like speeding it up or using other audio effects can distort the audio?
Yes, very much so. It can start to sound really electronic and tinny.
I see.
So it's better to go into the audio workspace, use those basic effects that are created by tagging the clip and then adjusting the parameters. And also between clips that are from different takes, add crossfades. And you should be able to mark in and out points and add a whole bunch of crossfades at once, so you don't have to do it like clip by clip. And I can try to make a video about that later. Send me an email if you're really interested in that. But that's how you want to handle your audio. Audio is very important. The other thing you want to make sure that you understand is that you always want it bouncing between about -6 and -18. Because if it gets too loud, it becomes horribly distorted, especially if it hits these red markers, which means that you've clipped your audio. So that is really bad. And if it's below 18, it's not going to be, people are not going to be able to understand what's being said. Okay. Now, with that said, in Delicious Peace, their accents are very strong. So it's a really good idea to have subtitles. Let's go ahead and listen to Bingo Night. As I said, I'm saving time and I'm going to do this with Bingo Night just so that you understand how to do this. So if I press play.
I'm sorry that your son lost his job. I truly am.
Then why can't you be more understanding?
We've been understanding.
Okay, so how would I add subtitles to this? So the first thing I want to do is I want to go into Window, Workspaces, and I'm going to go to let's see, Captions and Graphics. And you'll see I have all these great graphics that I can choose from, but I'm not going to worry about those right now. First thing I'm going to do over on this left side is I'm going to click on text. And let's see, over here in text, I'm going to choose transcript. And I'm going to place my playhead at the beginning of where the sound starts. And I'm going to click on transcribe.
Where is this again?
So you first want to go to Captions and Graphics. Okay, so the window that you're in is Captions and Graphics. Since it's transcribing right now, it's not going to show me. But can you see up here how I'm circling window? So you would go to Window, Captions and Graphics.
I see.
And then you're going to choose on, you're going to go over here and choose text. And over here, you're going to choose transcript. Now, I'm actually surprised this is taking so long. Usually it's much faster. And my guess is that it is taking a long time because I'm on Zoom, which is kind of annoying. One thing that you can do when you tell it to transcribe is there is a way to, let's see, it might be done here. I don't know. No, it's saying 4 minutes. How annoying. All right, well, we'll see if I can get through it. I'll just talk while it's doing it. You can tell it what to transcribe. So I might have been able to look at my settings in transcribe and tell it to only transcribe clips that are tagged as dialogue. So it might be trying to transcribe the music right now, and that might be why it's taking longer. I could be wrong. My guess is that it's just Zoom that's making it extremely slow. I don't think I've ever done a demo of this on a Zoom meeting. So let's just see. Yeah, it says 3 minutes. But you know, while it's transcribing, does anybody have any questions? Oh, it looks like it's almost done. So, okay, it's just doing one more. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I heard somebody was going to say something.
Once we transcribe it, do we we're still able to trim all the clips as needed and the transcriptions?
Oh, completely.
Okay, cool.
Completely. Yeah, this is just since it's a non-linear, you know, it's non-linear editing, right? Mm-hmm. So you can always change you can change what's said, you can add more to it later. I do recommend, though, that you wait to transcribe just to make it easier for yourself. But it definitely is editable. But as you can see, if you take a look here, Notice it says unknown because it just doesn't know who's speaking. I'm sorry that your son lost his job. I truly am. And then this part says we've been understanding. And this is going to be probably Ethel talking. It's interesting that it could handle the manager of the retirement home better than it's handling Ethel. Maybe it's just because of his pitch. I don't know, but we'll see. We'll see. Normally it does a really good job, by the way. Obviously, as you can see, it's taking some time. So you wouldn't want to do this last minute. Nothing should ever be last minute with editing. You should always finish way ahead of time so that you have time to keep making more and more cuts of your video. Okay, so it's done now. So now you can see, I'm sorry your son lost his job. I truly am. Then why can't you be more understanding, question mark? We've been understanding. So this is all perfect. It did a really great job. And now all I have to do is go over to captions and click on create captions from transcript. Don't worry about this step down here. Create captions from transcript. And now you've got some preferences. Most of them are not going to be that helpful, or you just want to leave them as is. I would recommend doing single line so that it breaks them up better. And then the other thing I was just going to say is it can't do other languages. Like it does have this language thing, but it's not gonna, where was it? Had a language thing before. It might have gotten rid of it because people might have gotten confused. So it can't take Spanish, for example, and translate it to English. Hopefully Premiere will develop the ability to do that, but it's not there yet. So it's just taking English and reading the English and creating captions from the English. Okay, so I click on create captions and it makes a subtitle track. And now you'll see, let's take a look, okay, at what it's got here.
I'm sorry that your son lost his job. I truly am.
Then why can't you be more understanding?
We've been understanding.
Okay, so as you can see, it did a really good job, but it put them pretty low, and weirdly enough, it put them under title safe, which I find bizarre. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select, whoops, sorry. I'm going to select all of these clips at once, and I'm now going to edit them, leaving them in zone, the bottom zone here, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and set vertical position and bring it up to be above the title safe guides, okay, to about there. And then what I can do is I can change them. As you can see, instead of Minion Pro, I can change the font. So maybe I want to go with something that's has no serifs, sans serif, which means that it has no little extra pieces of, like the I has this little extra thing at the top, at the bottom. Those are called serifs. And if you go sans serif, it's usually easier to read. So maybe I would go with Helvetica or Arial, something like that. That's very easy to see. So if I go to Arial, notice it's a little bit crisper and cleaner to see. And then I can change, you know, I can make it bigger. So maybe about to like 51 or so, or, you know, or smaller. I can also change what's called the tracking or the kerning between the letters. So I could just make it a little more space between letters. And now, as you can see, it looks really great. I can also add a shadow and I can change the color. A lot of people like to make their subtitles yellow. Because, you know, yellow, a garish yellow color isn't going to fade, you know, is going to be easily seen. But now, as you can see, let's watch this.
I'm sorry that your son lost his job. I truly am.
Then why can't you be more understanding?
We've been understanding.
Now notice how we've been understanding is coming a little early. So I can just take that little chunk and move it over. I can turn off snapping, and I can just move it. And I can edit these completely. Like, let's say I want to change the words in here. I can do that over on the left or right in the frame. So let's just,
We've been understanding.
so like if I wanted it to say, instead of we've been understanding, well, that's actually perfect, right? But yeah, everything's perfect. So there's nothing to fix, but let me see if there's any, I'm sorry that your son lost his job. Maybe I want to put ... here. So I could double click in here, click over here, ... Okay, I'm sorry that your son lost his job. I could also do it over here. Okay, so for example, you know, let's see, maybe he wants to say, maybe we want to change it to I truly am ! Which of course would be ridiculous, but as you can see, I can change it right over here on the left. Any questions about captions or subtitles?
I'm sorry that your son lost
Yeah.
his job.
So you're going to do that for delicious.
Then why can't you be more understanding?
And I'm
We've
going to
been
put
understanding.
this meeting into Canvas so that everybody will know how to create these this closed caption, these subtitles, which it calls closed captioning. It sort of talks about them interchangeably. Okay, so that's about all we have time for. I'm going to oh, let me just stop sharing. Was that helpful? Okay,
Yeah,
great.
it was.
Great. All right. Well, thank you for the thumbs up. All right. So, you know, we can have other meetings like this throughout the rest of the semester. And, you know, I'm there for you. So if you ever have any problems at all or any questions at all, please send me an email through the Canvas inbox. Okay. Okay. All right. Have a great afternoon and a great weekend.
You too,
Thank
Professor.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Actually, Professor, I had a quick side question.
Yeah. Yeah.
I used MorphCut before, but anytime I try to export using it, it ends up not working whenever I export it. Do you have any tips for that? Because I know
So
that
are you
anytime
using it
it's anything AI generated, it starts to get funky.
Are you using it as a transition?
Mm-hmm.
Are you only using it on your own computer? Have you tried it on different computers? Because sounds like it's your computer's not able to handle it well.
Yeah, maybe I should try it on a different computer later down the line.
I think you should. How much RAM do you have in your computer?
32.
Oh, well, that's not bad. And so I'm assuming, is it a MacBook Pro, an iMac? Okay. 32 is good. Is your RAM full? I mean, not your RAM, is your memory full?
That could be the case because everything else is just my computer's filled with just disk utilities at this point, so I have to go get it checked.
Yeah, it sounds like you need to clean your computer and empty it and maybe run a virus or malware scan on it. And Premiere will probably run a lot better once you do that. My guess is that doing that will fix the problem with the that specific effect and a lot of other effects.
Okay, coolio. I appreciate it. Thank you. And it was lovely finally getting the chance to meet you.
Yeah, wonderful to meet you as well. Thank you for coming to this meeting.
Of course. Have a lovely day.
You too. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.